in the media, in our public life, in our private life, in our gatherings, in our phone conversations, in our chats. Rancor is everywhere. Our dialogue has somehow become hate-filled monologue. Where we used to have debate, discussion, and dialogue, we now just have competing, overriding monologues. There no longer seems to be a way to reconcile two sides of an issue, two perspectives. What results is a huge inability to find a common ground. We don't know how to even define what a common ground might be. There's us and there's them. And as a result, talking to others is like talking to a wall. It's become useless unless the others already agree with us. There is no discussion. There's just warring monologues. Cybernetics does not just help us diagnose what's wrong. It also helps us find the tools to move forward in a productive manner. One how is a method called Buberian Dialogue, and it was first deployed by the British Mensa Society in the 1960s. I made use of it when I was teaching at the Central European University in Budapest, and it worked wonders in bridging the gap between the Farmers Union and Monsanto so that they could come together and find common ground regarding genetically modified organisms and food. Traditional debates are I-it, both between the two protagonists and between the speakers and the audience. Buberian dialogue shifts the focus to the audience. The protagonists and the audience have an I-thou relationship with one another. Buberian dialogue works by making insights that members of the audience have both the focus of the learning overall and of the subsequent discussion that takes place. The format looks somewhat like a traditional debate. There are two protagonists, a moderator, but there's also a whiteboard keeper and three distinguished listeners. It is critical that there be an audience of interested parties of not less than 15 or 20 people. And it is also critical that the two protagonists have views that are somewhat opposed. They could be orthogonal, but they must not agree with each other. In the beginning, each protagonist is asked to give an opening statement. The focus then turns to the audience. They are asked, what is it that you heard that was common to what these two said? Be it explicit, something that was left out, or something that was treated as a common background assumption. These audience observations are posted on the whiteboard, visible to all. And note, we need a moderator who keeps people to the point. Then, the protagonists are each given 5 to 10 minutes to talk about what is on the whiteboard. Not what each other said, not a response, but talk about what is on the whiteboard. And again, we need a strong moderator to keep the protagonists to this point. The focus is on what the audience has said as noted on the whiteboard. The cycle gets repeated. Audience members reveal what they heard in common, and the protagonists speak to the whiteboard items. And then one holds a comfortable coffee break. The idea is to create a context where the audience members, the protagonists, and every other participant feel comfortable talking. Be sure to have good refreshments. The coffee break happened before the audience members got a chance to speak the last time, so we do 1.5 more rounds. Audience members revealing what they had in common, protagonists speaking, and then one last time, audience members revealing what they heard in common. The event finishes not with the protagonist saying anything, but now we call on the 3 learned listeners to speak for 5 minutes each on what it is they might have learned from the event. The event is not over. It is important that when you break, that there be refreshments and space so that the discussion can continue. you want to encourage at least 15 to 30 minutes of more discussion amongst all the participants. Follow-up is critical. You want to videotape the entire session, and you want to make a transcript that is accessible to everyone. A wiki then should be created with a moderator so that you can get comments from all the participants over the next few weeks. Finally, send the transcript, the video, and the wiki to the two protagonists and ask them to come back with written commentary that can be available to the entire participatory community. In a Buberian dialogue, the audience is in a thou relationship with each other and with the protagonists. The audience members' reflections are evoked in creating the content that gets reacted to, that gets reflected upon, that gets turned into the step forward. This is an I-thou between audience and protagonists. In this way, Buberian dialogue creates a context for finding common ground. It allows hidden commonalities to surface. It encourages the building of relatedness amongst all the points that are raised. It affords audience members the opportunity to evoke or create personal stories around what took place, around their reflections, around their thinking. And Buberian dialogue by itself creates requisite variety amongst the points being raised. Buberian dialogue is built upon cybernetic tools. It evokes circularity between the audience members and the protagonists and among the audience members themselves. It demands reflexivity from the audience when they give their reactions, from the protagonists as they think about how to react to the audience reactions. It affords audience members the opportunity to construct and articulate perceptions, and it allows everyone involved, audience members, protagonists, etc., to co-construct a systems view of the topic, the context, and the dialogue. Instead of simplicity, Buberian dialogue makes use of the least action principle to focus on relatedness. It helps turn problems into progress by emphasizing relatedness instead of reinforcing divisiveness. With relatedness and with respect, we now can help afford the possibility of progress.